Hey yo, what's the cure with my crew, the Chico Jarheads? And if you're new and you want to join us, take the first step and sub, dropping the title of Viewer of the Tube. My name's Tyler, and in my army, the soldiers are pampered, just like this Kit Kat.
마사지 해드리겠습니다. 고객님, 여기는 숙박업소가 아니랍니다. 일어나십시오.
Wayne gets that every day. You know our kitty cure. It's time for Chico Crypto. Well, BTC decided to break 16K yesterday, and pulling out the chart since this bullish run-up, you can see this level near the top of the 15K to 16K range has been tough to break. 3 attempts prior to this one. So if today we are still above or further into the range, 16K to 17K, a very bullish sign. Now I want to pull out this chart since October 10th. As you can see, we hung in the 11K to 12K range for some time last month, but then we blasted through the 12K to 13K range, spending not even 48 hours in that range. Then we spent a good amount of time up to November 4th in the 13K to 14K range, but then we blasted through the 14K to 15K range in less than 24 hours, and since we have spent the last week in the 15K to 16K range, a good amount of time. There are patterns, and if you don't see it, hang in a range. Blast through the next, hang in a range. So is the 16K to 17K range going to be a blast through? Well, to get through these critical ranges, BTC is going to need a little thing called FOMO to help push it through. Earlier in the week, we covered enterprise FOMO being moved swiftly along through corporate game theory. So today we're going to look into the retail side of things, the general public and their FOMO, aka fear of missing out. Now, I like to pull out the price chart 2 weeks into September to today and compare it with Google Trends for Bitcoin over that same time period. They look really similar, huh? But as we can see, the price was pretty boring in the 10K to 12K range, which BTC had visited multiple times in the past. Interest didn't budge on Google Trends. It wasn't until we got into unknown price territories like 13K and above that interest in Bitcoin started to move. Price ranges where Bitcoin hasn't spent much time in. But still, pulling out the interest chart, BTC is nowhere near interest back in 2017, and the price is only 4K away from the 2017 price peak of 20K. What is going on? Well, you gotta look back and understand that interest won't get to that level until the price is far beyond 20K. For example, in 2014, BTC hit a peak of nearly 1.2K and didn't recross its prior cycle peak until early 2017, January through February of that year. So let's look at Google Trends back then. I wonder if interest peaked higher when it cracked its old all-time high. No, it sure didn't. So the price will have to raise past 20K, the last cycle peak, and far past it if interest is to move to heights seen back then. So who could do that? What could do that? How could interest in Bitcoin and crypto spread to larger numbers of people organically? Well, it's called large subreddits and Finance 1.0 who consider themselves just investors. So Bitcoin is an asset, and they aren't against investing in assets. Per example, are investing. So a highly controversial topic made it near the top of their subreddit yesterday. The question, how many of you see Bitcoin surpassing gold as the ultimate safe haven asset in the far future? Only 9 upvotes, but 145 comments, the most of any post. And the person's full post was highly bullish, saying it's the future and it will outpace gold. Although the #1 comment was this: you only ever see interest in BTC when stocks are going up, and BTC suddenly spikes up as a result. Threads like this never pop out when crypto prices drop. It will forever be a pump-based asset that relies on human greed rather than safe haven. Ouch! But the top voted reply to that was this: for a lot of people, Bitcoin has outperformed most things over the last 10 years. Which, that is not a lie. BTC is the best performing asset over the past 10 years across the board. Nothing beats it. That's why that reply was upvoted so heavily. There are people within our investing who are holders. They are just quiet now, only using the up button to speak. As if they do actually speak, they will be brigaded by those who hate. But the silent holders won't be silent for long, I'll tell you that. For them to speak up, all it will take is a crack of 20K, and they will be shouting. Then it will spread from the R investing virgins to those who have been holding out a little longer, the R Wall Street Bets degens. There will be a top post about BTC on Wall Street Bets because Wall Street is becoming Bitcoin. Remember corporate game theory? Just wait, it will happen. And access to the crypto markets is now easy as pie. Yesterday, PayPal removed the waitlist. Now all US users can access their crypto markets, which includes buying, selling, and hodling. The bullish stars, they're aligning for a retail FOMO cycle, which could even have your grandfather saying, "Hey, I picked up some BTC through PayPal." And a little Chico trivia, my grandfather lent me the money for my first Bitcoin investment back in 2013. Thanks, Gramps, I love ya. That's him pampering Wayne. But there is more that happened for Bitcoin and the crypto markets, which can be seen as pretty dang bullish. Brian Brooks got in front of the Senate, specifically the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, and he spoke on crypto. His full statement is online, but we will dig into the juicy stuff. He said nearly 60 million Americans own some type of crypto and its market cap, and he stated, "These figures clearly illustrate that this payment mechanism is now firmly entrenched in the financial mainstream." There's a lot of good stuff below regarding crypto and stablecoins, but above this, crypto wasn't specifically mentioned, but the National Banking Charter was, which we know what that is. It's allowing fintech companies, including crypto-based like Coinbase, to obtain a national banking charter. He explains how New York was blocking it, stopping them in court, and the OCC appealing their decision. And below, he said, the OCC's brief in the case was filed on April 23, 2020. I expect the litigation to be favorably resolved so that this charter option will remain available to companies engaged in any combination of the widely recognized core functions of banking. Brian, he expects them to win, and he expects this charter option to be available to entities like Coinbase, as this was in the plan all along. Remember me, friends, Coinbase back in May of 2018, they spoke to the regulators about obtaining this type of license. Cointelegraph covered it, and that specific regulator, as seen from the article, was the Office of the Comptroller. So the OCC and Coinbase, they talked about getting this national banking charter before any blocking, with Brian still on the team of Coinbase. And the OCC is run by the Treasury, which is led by Steve Mnuchin Snooch the Booch. Bong, but yeah, he is best friends with Brian. They worked together in the past at One West. So something was in the works, the plan, and now Brian is the head of the OCC and really pushing for it, confident it will get through the courts. So what is the plan, Tyler? Well, they are looking to pull off one of the biggest IPOs of this century, the Coinbase IPO, initial public offering. Remember that news? I'm sure you've forgotten about the rumors circulating that Coinbase was going to do one. TechCrunch covered it in July with the title, Coinbase reported to consider late 2020, early 2021 public debut. And they would be doing the unorthodox route of a possible direct listing. Well, we haven't heard much about it, and that's because they are waiting for the litigation to be favorably resolved, and Coinbase has a path to a national banking charter. So just imagine this, it's the end of 2020, just crossing into 2021. Bitcoin is finally pushing through the elusive 20K all-time high. The OCC, they get their decision. It's announced. Weeks later, Coinbase announces they will be one of the first to obtain that national banking charter. And then weeks to a month later, the announcement of the official date of the Coinbase IPO. Those are extremely bullish headline events, and they will be exaggerated by the moving prices. Retail FOMO could go into overdrive. Cheers, I'll see you next time.